This is lesson 3.1, properties of numbers and one-step equations. This is your practice packet on page number 2. We're going to start off here and we're going to name the property shown in the example. So looking at the two different sides of the equal sign here, it looks like the only thing that changed in the parentheses was actually the order. So we would call this the commutative property, and we're using addition. In number 2, we have 8 plus 6 plus 4. 8 plus 6 is in parentheses. It switches over. So that means the grouping has actually changed. This is the associative property of addition. In number 3, we have 1 times x, which gives us x, which meant that we kept the identity of x. So this is the identity property of multiplication. And in number 4, we added 0 to 2, leaving it as 2. So this is also the identity property, but this one is just of addition. In the last one, this one we didn't actually talk about in class, but we did talk about in class, 6 times 0, 0 times 6, we changed the order. So that one will be called the commutative property of multiplication then. Apply the given property to the given expression. So we want to use the 0 property of multiplication. So all that means is that if you multiply a number by 0, you're going to get 0. Commutative property of multiplication, this just wants us to change the order. So we're going to do 134 times 0. Identity property of addition, we're going to keep the 11x as it is, so we add on 0. For the inverse property, this is the one where we multiply by the reciprocal. So I have 2/3 times 3/2. 3/2 is my reciprocal. Inverse property of addition, so this is the one that undoes it. So if I start with the 14, I would have to add the opposite, which is a negative 14, and that's going to result in 0 for me. The associative property, so it wants me to change the grouping here. So instead of the 2 and 3 in parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 and the 14 in parentheses. Notice I do have to keep 2, 3, 14, 2, 3, 14 in the exact same order. Otherwise, I would also be applying the commutative. Commutative property of addition, this is what it does want me to switch things around. So I could either move the 13 and the 10 and just do 10 plus 13 plus 7, or I could actually even put that plus 7 out front if I really wanted to. The last couple here are one-step equations. So as I asked you to do in the notes packet, we're going to write our work, drop a line down. X is what I'm trying to get by itself. There's a plus 10, so I need to do a minus 10. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. So you get x equals 14 here. Drop a line down. This one is negative 15 times x. So to undo multiplication, we have to divide. And we divide by whatever is there. And we're going to get x equals a negative 2. In the next example, this is like the one in your notes. You do have multiplication here, but when it's a fraction, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal, therefore using that inverse property. So I'm multiplying by 3/2 on both sides. 18 divided by 2 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. In number 18, we're going to go ahead and drop our line down. We have x divided by negative 7. To undo division, we're going to multiply by what's there using the inverse operations. Those will cancel, so we get x equals negative 490. Over here, again, division, so I'm going to undo with multiplication, times 4 times 4. So I'm going to get w equals negative 48. And in the last example here, my x is right here. I have a minus 7, so I'm going to do a plus 7 to both sides, and that'll give me x equals 17. And that's the end of it for your 3.1 lesson practice packet.